The Ottoman Empire, the era of the sultans, the grandeur, the intrigue. And tonight, we are taking a break from the usual tales of conquest and intrigue to talk about something a little closer to home, or maybe to yours, a steaming mug of coffee. Yes, we're diving deep into the world of coffee in the Ottoman Empire. Imagine the sun setting over the Bosphorus, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple. The air is alive with the aroma of spices and fresh coffee. We'll step into a quaint coffee house, the heart of Ottoman culture, where the chatter of locals mingles with the soft twang of lutes. You might be wondering, what does coffee have to do with the mighty Ottoman Empire? Quite a lot, as it turns out. The story of coffee in the Ottoman Empire is a tale of trade, culture, and a whole lot of caffeine. The empire's vast reach ensured that it had its fingers on the pulse of global trade routes, and coffee, a highly sought-after commodity, flowed through these very arteries. Coffee first arrived in the Ottoman Empire in the 16th century, brought by traders from Ethiopia, but its origins can be traced back even further to the highlands of Yemen. By the 15th century, Yemen had become a major coffee exporter, supplying the growing demand in the Middle East. From there, coffee spread like wildfire. In the Ottoman Empire, the adoption of coffee was not just a matter of taste, it was a cultural statement. The ruling class, known as the Janissaries, were early adopters, drawn to the invigorating taste and the social cachet that came with drinking a beverage so foreign and exotic. It was during the reign of Sultan Suleiman, the Magnificent, who ruled from 1520 to 1566, that coffee really took off in Istanbul. His wife, Harem Sultan, played a pivotal role in popularizing coffee, and she was said to have established the first coffee house in the city. In the Ottoman Empire, coffee houses were more than just places to grab a quick caffeine fix. They were social hubs, political arenas, and intellectual battlegrounds. The coffee houses of Istanbul were places where merchants, scholars, and diplomats gathered to discuss everything from the latest news to the deepest philosophical questions. They were like the coffee shops of today, except with far more serious discussions at stake. These houses were a microcosm of Ottoman society, a melting pot of different classes and cultures. In fact, the Ottomans were so enamored with coffee that they established special facilities called kahvehaneler to roast and grind the beans. These facilities, run by specialized workers, ensured that the coffee was always fresh and of high quality, a testament to the empire's commitment to excellence. For the Ottomans, coffee was more than just a drink. It was a way of life. But as the night wears on and the moon climbs higher in the sky, we are going to shift our focus from the social aspects of coffee to something a bit more mystical. The Ottomans, like many other cultures, believed that coffee could do more than just wake you up in the morning or give you a boost during a long day. They believed that coffee could tell you things about your future. Now, this might sound like a stretch, but in the 17th century, coffee was mixed with a dash of magic. It was the age of enlightenment, a time when reason and logic were highly valued. But even in this era, the allure of the unknown was strong. People wanted to know what the future held for them, and coffee was seen as a way to gain insight. This practice of reading coffee grounds, known as tasseography, became extremely popular in the Ottoman Empire. Tasseography involves examining the residue left at the bottom of a coffee cup after it has been drained. Each cup tells a unique story. Each swirl, each stain holds a clue to the future. The fortune tellers, or kahvehaneler in Turkish, were highly skilled individuals who had dedicated their lives to this art. They had studied the science of coffee, its origins, its journey, and its properties. Their knowledge of coffee was so deep that they could interpret the slightest variation in the grounds at the bottom of a cup. They looked for shapes, colors, and textures, and each sign was associated with a particular event, emotion, or person. A circle, for instance, might signify a happy marriage. A triangle could mean good fortune, and a broken line might indicate a journey. These interpretations were not random. They were based on a complex system of correspondences that the fortune tellers had memorized over years of training. For the Ottomans, this wasn't just a fun way to pass the time. It was a way of understanding their place in the universe. Our night in the Ottoman Empire is drawing to a close. The stars are out in full force, and the sounds of the city have softened to a gentle hum. As we leave the coffee house, we can't help but feel the lingering effects of the night, the warmth of the coffee, the wisdom of the old men, and the magic of the fortune tellers. We now return to our regularly scheduled programming. The story of coffee in the Ottoman Empire is a fascinating one. It shows how this seemingly simple drink can have such a profound impact on culture, society, and even history. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Your support means the world to us. And as always, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Until next time, stay curious, keep asking questions, and never stop exploring the world. Who knows where your journey might take you? Just like coffee beans traveling from distant lands to the Ottoman Empire, your path could lead you to unexpected places. Stay open to the adventure. Section 6. Coffee and Politics in the Ottoman Empire. Oh, the Ottoman Empire, a sprawling realm where politics was as intricate as the spices in a cup of Turkish coffee. Now, when you think of coffee, you might imagine a cozy cafe with comfy chairs and the aroma of freshly brewed beans. But in the Ottoman Empire, coffee houses were more than just places for a quick caffeine fix or a cozy chat. No, sir, they were the digital town squares of the 16th and 17th century, buzzing with the latest news and gossip. And it wasn't just common folk sharing their thoughts over steaming cups either. No, the very leaders of the empire, the powerful sultans, were also regulars at these coffee houses, or at least they sent their representatives. You see, the Ottomans loved their coffee strong and their intrigue stronger, and these coffee houses provided the perfect setting for both. For the uninitiated, let me catch you up. The Ottoman Empire, also known as the Turkish or Ottoman dynasty, ruled over a vast swath of land from the Balkans to North Africa, and at its peak, it was a melting pot of cultures, religions, and ideas. And where there are people, there's bound to be chatter, the kind that spreads faster than wildfire. And what better way to keep tabs on this chatter than in the very places where it happened, the coffee houses? The Ottomans were intrigued, pun intended, by the potential of these establishments. They realized that by hanging out in these coffee houses, they could get a direct line to the pulse of the empire. No red tape, no formalities, just raw, unfiltered talk. Here, the mighty sultan could mingle with the masses, hear their grievances, their hopes, their dreams, all while sipping on a cup of joe. It was like a reality TV show, but without the cameras and the drama. Well, maybe with a little bit of drama. The charm of these coffee houses lay in their informality. People from all walks of life could come together, discuss politics, philosophy, anything really. And the Ottomans, being the shrewd rulers that they were, recognized this as a goldmine of information. It was like having an extensive network of spies, except everyone was sipping coffee instead of sneaking around. And then came the twist. Sometimes these coffee houses became hotbeds of rebellion. Conspirators met in the shadows of these establishments, hatching plans to overthrow the very system that was using them to gather intelligence. It was like a game of chess, the sultans trying to outmaneuver the opposition, all over a cup of coffee. Now, coffee houses in the Ottoman Empire were more than just places for idle chatter or political maneuvering. They were cultural hubs, economic centers, and social catalysts. The rise of coffee houses marked a shift in the social landscape of the empire. It created a space where class divisions blurred and people from different backgrounds could interact freely. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee became intertwined with the scent of power, intrigue, and rebellion. Each cup held the potential for both unity and dissent. The Ottomans took their coffee seriously. In fact, they had their own special way of brewing it. Turkish coffee, as it's called, is unfiltered and intensely flavored. It's a far cry from the Starbucks variety that many of us are accustomed to today. The brewing process was not just a method of making a drink, it was a ritual, a ceremony. Each step was designed not just to extract the perfect flavor, but to create an atmosphere of conviviality and connection. So next time you find yourself sipping a cup of Turkish coffee, take a moment to appreciate the rich history that each drop represents. The Ottoman Empire, with all its grandeur and intrigue, found a unique way to stay connected to its people through the simple act of sharing a cup of coffee. That's it for this episode, folks. Until next time, stay curious and keep those historical tales alive. And remember, behind every cup of coffee, there's a story waiting to be told. Section 7. The Sultans and the Power of Coffee. The Sultans of the Ottoman Empire, renowned for their opulent lifestyle and thirst for power, also harbored a deep appreciation for a humble beverage, coffee. For these influential rulers, coffee was more than just a drink. It was a tool, a symbol, and a strategy. As the Ottoman Empire flourished between the 14th and 17th centuries, so did the popularity of coffee. And at the heart of this coffee craze were the sultans. They weren't just patrons of the drink, they were its ardent consumers. Now, why were these powerful rulers so fond of coffee? Was it the taste, the aroma, or perhaps the kick it gave them? Well, it's a bit of all that and more. You see, the sultans of the Ottoman Empire were known for their love of luxury, and coffee was the epitome of the refined taste. But it wasn't just about indulging in a high life. Coffee, with its stimulating properties, became an integral part of their daily rituals. For these rulers who often held court for hours on end, coffee provided the energy boost they needed to maintain their composure and vigor. Moreover, coffee became a diplomatic tool in the Sultan's arsenal. When influential figures from different nations visited the Ottoman Empire, the sultans would treat them to a cup of the finest coffee. It was a way to project power, to showcase their wealth, and to establish a connection. But the relationship between the sultans and coffee took a dramatic turn during the reign of Sultan Murad IV. This enigmatic ruler, known for his erratic behavior and radical decrees, issued a ban on coffee. He viewed the drink as a potential threat to the stability of his empire. In the year 1638, Murad IV proclaimed that coffee was nothing but a bitter poison. His edict was clear. Anyone found drinking or selling coffee within the empire's borders would face severe punishment. Despite the Sultan's ban, coffee continued to flow through the veins of the Ottoman Empire. The people had fallen in love with the drink, and no amount of prohibition could dampen their enthusiasm. The Sultan's affinity for coffee, despite its challenges, continued to endure. It was a testament to the drink's allure and its ability to transcend societal norms. As the centuries rolled on, coffee remained an integral part of the Sultan's lives. It was a beverage that united, divided, inspired, and challenged. Each cup was a microcosm of the Ottoman Empire itself, rich, complex, and brimming with potential. From the bustling coffee houses of Istanbul to the secluded palaces of the sultans, the aroma of coffee permeated every corner. It was a scent intertwined with power, intrigue, and the everyday lives of the people. As we delve deeper into the world of the Ottomans, one thing becomes clear: coffee wasn't just a drink. It was a cultural phenomenon that played a pivotal role in the empire's trajectory. And with that, we come to the end of this captivating journey through time. The tale of the Ottomans and their love affair with coffee is one of resilience, adaptation, and the enduring spirit of a culture. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more historical tales. Until next time, stay caffeinated and keep those historical tales brewing. You know, it's funny how a little caffeine can make us feel like we're invincible, ready to take on the world with a burst of energy. Now get ready to travel back in time and discover all the intriguing details you never knew you needed to know about coffee. I'm your host, here to guide you through this wild journey. So grab a cup of coffee and let's get brewing. Section 8. Coffee spreads to other cultures. By the time coffee had firmly settled into the Ottoman Empire, it was already on its way to becoming a global sensation. The drink's journey from the heart of the Ottoman Empire to other parts of the world is a tale of cultural exchange and adaptation. The Ottomans were the ones to introduce coffee to Europe in the 17th century, and from there, it spread across the continent. The first European coffee house opened in Venice in 1645, and soon after, coffee houses began springing up all over Europe. The concept was simple: a place to gather, drink coffee, and engage in intellectual conversation. It was a concept that took hold in cities from Paris to London. What's quirky about the spread of coffee is how quickly it became associated with both intellectualism and rebellion. During the Enlightenment, coffee houses were meeting points for revolutionary thinkers, writers, and philosophers. They were, essentially, the original think tanks of the time, where political and social issues were discussed over steaming cups of coffee. As coffee culture spread, it adapted to different cultures. In France, it became the drink of choice for the aristocracy, while in England, coffee houses turned into centers for political debate. The Ottoman influence, however, remained strong, especially in the Middle East and North Africa, where Turkish coffee continues to play a vital role in daily life. Historians still debate whether the spread of coffee was driven more by the allure of the drink itself or the social and intellectual environments it helped foster. Either way, coffee quickly transitioned from a local Ottoman beverage to a worldwide staple. Now, let's move on to Section 9. Don't worry, we're almost there. Section 9. Coffee and the associated myths. Now, let's dive into the myths that have sprouted around this incredible drink. Coffee has long been shrouded in mystery, with its exotic nature and stimulating effects, inspiring countless stories and beliefs. One of the most fascinating myths comes from the early days of coffee in the Ottoman Empire. The story goes that coffee was discovered by a goat herd named Kaldi. According to legend, Kaldi noticed his goats becoming unusually energetic after eating the berries from a certain tree. Curious, he tried the berries himself, experiencing a burst of energy. Kaldi shared his discovery with a monk, who then brewed the first cup of coffee. While this tale has been passed down for generations, historians still debate its authenticity. Some believe it was more likely that coffee spread through trade routes rather than a single goat herd's discovery. Beyond its origins, coffee has been surrounded by spiritual practices. In the Ottoman Empire, coffee was used in religious ceremonies and as a symbol of hospitality. Coffee houses, often spaces for both social and spiritual discussions, were integral to daily life. In fact, it's believed that offering coffee to guests was not just about refreshment, but a sign of respect and friendship. Traditions still observed in many parts of the world today. As quirky as it may sound, some believed that coffee had magical powers capable of enhancing one's intellect or acting as an elixir for clarity. This mystical connection between coffee and enlightenment reflects a deeper cultural belief that coffee, far from being just a drink, was a gateway to greater understanding. Historians still debate whether these myths were merely cultural embellishments, or if there was a genuine belief in coffee's magical qualities. But one thing remains clear: coffee has always been more than just a drink. It has been a symbol of connection, mystery, and insight. And now, drum roll please, it's time for Section 10, the final chapter in our coffee adventure. Section 10, the legacy of coffee, fortune-telling, and conclusion. As we close this journey, let us reflect on the lasting legacy of coffee fortune-telling and how coffee continues to shape cultures today. Though the widespread practice of reading coffee grounds may not be as popular today as it was in the Ottoman Empire, its influence remains in places like modern-day Turkey, where coffee readings are still a fun social activity. The ritual of sharing Turkish coffee and reading the grounds is a cherished tradition, often done with friends or family. For many, it's not so much about predicting the future, but about connecting with others in a meaningful way. But the real legacy of coffee fortune-telling lies in the tradition it represents: the ritual of pausing and reflecting. In a fast-paced world, coffee still provides that moment of connection, whether it's with a friend or with ourselves. The simple act of sharing a cup of coffee, reading the grounds, or simply sipping in silence continues to bring people together. Historians still argue whether fortune-telling through coffee grounds had deeper cultural significance or was just a whimsical pastime. Regardless, the idea of using coffee as a tool for reflection, insight, and connection remains deeply ingrained in many societies around the world. In the grand scheme of things, coffee's role as a social beverage transcends its original purpose. From the Ottoman Empire to today, coffee continues to foster connection, encourage contemplation, and spark creativity. Whether you're enjoying a cup alone or with others, remember that you're taking part in a tradition that spans centuries, a tradition that has shaped both the past and the present. As you sit back and sip your coffee, think of the countless people throughout history who've done the same. Coffee's power to bring people together, to create moments of clarity, and to foster conversation is as strong today as it ever was. So there you have it, a journey through time and taste. We hope you enjoyed this coffee adventure as much as we did. Don't forget to stay tuned for more historical tales, and don't be shy. Join the conversation in the comments. What are your thoughts on coffee's journey, and what historical tidbits would you like to see explored next? Until next time, stay curious and keep those historical discussions brewing. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Section 7. Coffee and Revolution. The potent combination of coffee's energizing effect and its ability to foster intellectual discussions made it a drink of choice for revolutionaries. It wasn't just about the caffeine kick, it was about the ideas that brewed alongside it. During the heady days of the Ottoman Empire, coffeehouses became the battlegrounds for those who questioned the status quo. Here, under the steamy haze of coffee conversations, secret societies formed, plans were hatched, and dissent simmered. The Ottoman authorities, ever vigilant, tried to keep a lid on these gatherings, seeing them as potential threats to the established order. But like a stubborn weed, coffee culture kept sprouting, taking root in the minds of the people. As the 17th century rolled on, coffee houses became more than just establishments serving a popular beverage. They evolved into centers of intellectual ferment, places where minds as sharp as the coffee beans themselves were ground into action. These havens of intellectual discourse played a crucial role in shaping the political landscape, providing a platform for individuals to voice their opinions and organize against oppressive rule. In the bustling bazaars of Cairo, whispers turned into shouts against the oppressive regime, and in the winding streets of Old Jaffa, ideas took root and blossomed into full-blown revolts. It was a slow burn, but the flames of revolution were ignited, and when they erupted, the world took notice. The French Revolution was one such pivotal moment. The clatter of cups and saucers in Parisian coffeehouses provided the soundtrack to a nation's discontent. Here, intellectuals like the Marquis de Condorcet and Jacques Sidney met, debated, and plotted. Coffee fueled their discussions, keeping them up late into the night as they drafted pamphlets, organized protests, and formulated plans to overthrow the monarchy. The storming of the Bastille, a pivotal moment in the revolution, was partly planned in the smoky realm of these coffeehouses. But the Ottoman connection didn't end there. In fact, it traveled across the seas to the New World, setting the stage for the American Revolution. Boston, the cradle of American dissent, had its own coffeehouse revolutionaries. Men like Samuel Adams and John Hancock gathered in places like the Green Dragon Tavern, swapping ideas over mugs of steaming coffee. They discussed the injustices imposed on them by the British Empire, fueled by coffee and a desire for freedom. As the 18th century drew to a close, coffee became synonymous with revolution, a drink that gave voice to the voiceless and strength to those who dared to dream of a better world. Historians still debate the extent to which coffee directly influenced these revolutions. Did the energizing effect of caffeine really spark calls for liberty, or was it simply a convenient gathering place for those who yearned for change? Perhaps the answer lies in the rich aroma of every cup, a testament to a tradition that continues to brew even today. In a world where quiet often means compliance, coffee gave people the boost they needed to speak up, to stand out, and to fight for what they believed in. And that, my friends, is the true legacy of the coffee revolution. It's a fascinating story of how this humble drink made its way from the hearts of the Ottoman Empire to become a global phenomenon. The journey of coffee is intertwined with tales of adventure, trade, and cultural fusion, making it more than just a beverage. It's a story that mirrors the evolution of our world, one sip at a time. So next time you find yourself sipping a cup of coffee, whether it's a quick espresso in the morning or a leisurely Turkish coffee in the evening, remember that each cup holds centuries of stories waiting to be uncovered. From the lively bazaars of Istanbul to the quiet corners of your local coffee shop, the tale of coffee is a reminder that the simplest pleasures in life often have the most extraordinary histories. I've been your guide through the labyrinthine alleys of history, and together we've unraveled the story of a drink that's more than just a beverage. It's a cultural icon. Until next time, stay curious, keep exploring, and above all, don't forget to savor the moments when history meets your cup.